All right. I hereby call on December 4th, 2024, a meeting of the Town of Hanson Economic Development Committee to order at 6:30 p.m. I would also like to announce for all those in attendance that this meeting is being recorded for distribution on Whitman Hanson Community Access. Playback times and other related information on this recording can be found at whca.tv. At this time, I'll turn it back over to Laura.
Okay, great. So we're going to call the meeting to order at 5:02. We've got Christopher Ernst on the phone, Laura Kevin on the phone, and Kevin Cohen in person, along with our town planner and our administrative assistant, Tony DeBrave and Kimberly Cunningham order. And first up on our agenda is to approve the meeting minutes from October 16, 2024. Did everybody have an opportunity to read those? Did anybody have any questions or additions?
I'll make the motion to approve those.
I'll second that motion.
Amazing. And since we've got people participating virtually, the votes we take tonight, we ought to do as a roll call. So,
Yes.
Mr. Ernst, do you approve the minutes?
I approve, yes.
Okay, I approve. And Mr. Cohen?
I'm an aye as well. Thank you.
Okay, amazing. All right, we're cooking with gas. Next up, we've got discuss adjacent communities business programs for economic development. Mr. DeBrave.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So at the last Economic Development Committee meeting, we were going to do a little research and see what other surrounding communities may be doing as far as economic development and their business programs. And one of the communities that was discussed was the town of Middleborough. I did ask Kim to reach out to them. I'm going to let her explain what she found out.
Thank you.
Okay, great, Kim. Thanks for doing that. We can't wait to hear.
Well, there's nothing really good to tell you, honestly. In this case, the Middleborough Farmers Market, for whatever reason, has been dismantled. I went on a wild goose chase trying to find everyone I could, and it just, they're saying it no longer exists. So.
Well, what about the business, their economic development?
I could not get any kind of information on that either.
They weren't.
The Middleborough Chamber of Commerce, or like nobody would share information, or you just couldn't figure out who to contact, or?
No, it wasn't that I didn't know how to. I reached out to the town hall. I talked with them, and they said that there wasn't a committee like that for them.
Interesting.
Okay. The Cranberry Country Chamber of Commerce?
I can try them next.
Yeah. When I just Googled Middleborough Chamber of Commerce, it came up Cranberry Country Chamber of Commerce. It's really weird to me that that town hall wouldn't have said, oh, well, it's not a town thing, but we do have a Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
But they put on a lot of, there's that, and then there's the, I'll have to look through my business card if I saved it. But there's also group, it's like, I don't know, it's like the business, it's kind of like a business network. I'll have to look it up. But there's another group, but maybe the Middleborough Chamber of Commerce might, the Cranberry Country Chamber of Commerce might be a good place to start. They may be able to tell you other groups that are working towards that
Sure.
goal.
I will look into that for you tomorrow.
We'll do.
Right, that's awesome.
We'll do a little more deep diving on that.
Okay, yeah, that's not, I mean, it's pretty, I think they're pretty active. You know, they've got staff, they've got a board of directors, they've got ambassadors, they've got an events calendar, like they look pretty, either that or they've just got a good website designer, I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. All right, that'll be great. if you
Which
can
one
look
is
at
that? Where's the good
Um,
website?
The other few,
And
like
then-
Plymouth has a good one as well.
It's on here.
Yeah.
And,
Do you have any
know,
connections there, Chris?
I do. Bobby Nole is like the number 2 person there. He's a friend of mine. He's been working there a long time.
Could you get Kim? Do you mind getting Kim his contact info?
Yeah, that's easy. No problem at all.
Thank you.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah, I think those would be good, two good ones to look at. I think, they're at different, points in the evolution of, their economic development. Obviously, Plymouth is much further along, but Middleborough, not that long ago, was a fairly blighted downtown, and it has, seen a remarkable change in the number of businesses and the events that they do, even in the way that the downtown looks. So that one would be good. And then the other one, Tony, that I know we've talked about is maybe, Dottie Fulgenetti with Norton. Not Norton, Easton.
Okay, yep.
That might be, again, they're sort of like, I think of like, who do I want to be when I grow up type of thing. And, Easton has got like all of those restaurants that they've put in. They've got that sort of historical feel, but like with a good mix of retail that's attracting people. It's very walkable. It's become a destination, which is a lot of the earmarks of the types of things that we want to do too. So I don't know if there might be somebody Dottie could put us in touch with, or if Dottie herself would be, willing to talk to us about it.
Yeah, definitely. I can reach out to her, and I believe she's still the chair of the select board over there, so.
I mean, I haven't seen her for a while. I saw her at this group of women called Girls Getting It Done, and it was just women trying to figure out how to engage more girls in town government, or just in government in general, and it cut across all political, spectrums, like it wasn't Democratic or Republican or Independent or whatever. Green Party, put whatever the political party you want in there. It was just literally like, how do we just get more girls involved? And when she was there, she was like telling us like a lot of the stuff she had done, and she seems very generous with her knowledge. So, yeah, and I think you said you have a familiarity with her.
Yeah, working with her through OCPC on some of the other
Yeah.
projects. So yeah, we've come to form a good friendship, if you will.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So maybe that would. I think maybe if we try to hit those three, and then we can kind of garner something from them. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to discuss on the business programs for economic development for adjacent communities?
Nope. I think that's a good start.
Okay. Cool. Then that brings us to local trail maps available in Hanson. Mr. Brave.
So I'm gonna see if I can share this. So can you see the screen?
I cannot because I joined by phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's fine. Don't just muddle along. I can.
No, okay.
try to
So
follow along.
I reached out to Dave Mansfield, who is we'll call it the de facto trail boss, if you will, in Hanson. And he sent me the trail maps that he's created for Hanson. And he sent me basically seven maps. And he keeps them pretty much up to date. And they show starting points, ending points, distances. And he uses what's called all trails. And there's also, it's pretty impressive actually with the information. So I'm going to actually sort of use this information as a way to get it out there. Hey, here's the trails that we have in Hanson, so that people may not even realize, and at least they'll have a map, like where's the head of the trail, how long is it, and try and get that out there.
I
And
think that would be cool. Is conservation planning on doing the same thing, or were they? What was the plan there?
Well, my understanding, and I did, they have, I believe, these maps on their website too, but it's one of those, unless you're really looking for it, you don't really, you're not really gonna find it, you know? So I'm gonna try and put this together and get it on our webpage, or the EDC's webpage, and get it out to our social media, uh, pages, and, you know, I'd like to sort of use this, if you will, as a starting point to create something in 2025 as a plan for coming up with an idea for tourism, using Whitman Hanson Cable Access, and YouTube and so forth. Some of the thoughts I had, and please chime in if you think I'm going off the rails, but even stuff like if we could get, I was even like walk some of these trails, photographs, video, maybe drone footage, but something that we could maybe put something together, if you will, almost like a tourism video. Hey, here's the trails we have in Hanson, and I'd like to maybe use this.
Yeah.
I'd like to maybe use this too, bring it up when we have the business summit, to try and get input and maybe get businesses involved locally. That hey, if we can get people to start coming to these trails, maybe we can start creating a connection between the trails and some of the local businesses.
No, I love that. And no, I don't think you're going off the rails. But what I would say is there is a guy that was posting some videos on Facebook. He's just like, I think he has like a GoPro and maybe a drone, and he's like combining the footage. But, it might be worth it to reach out to Robbie O'Brien, because they've got those drones that we purchased, and he's got two guys at the fire station who really have, they're quite proficient in using the drones.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we just had a little bit of a dilemma with the upcoming Christmas festival, because Whitman Hanson Cable can't cover it. So I reached out to the festival committee on which Robbie O'Brien sits, and he was like, "Oh, I think I can have Heffernan and Burke, two of his guys, like use the drone." So I don't see why we couldn't do that. And I think, that's like a more, more compelling view, I think, maybe than just boots on the ground view.
Right.
Just to see it, like from above, like the aerial.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can work with the Conservation Commission and see if they might, I know there's been some walks on some of the trails, like Dave has led quite a few of them. I've gone on like two, one at Smitty's Bog and then one up at Plymouth County Hospital, but I know he's doing them all the time at like the Smith-Nowazowski, thing up on Elm Street, like all the different properties they've tried to feature, and they've been like partnering with Green Hanson. So we might have some partners there between Conservation and Green Hanson who would also want to help us get that message out and might be willing to work on videos with us. But Dave would be a good person to reach out to, and Robbie too.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking Robbie, because I know they have the drone, and he's always said, hey, if you need some drone stuff, I just didn't know, how far we could use the drone for that type of. But if it's one of those that it's an okay use, then yeah, I would like to utilize their drone ability to sort of get some footage. I'm thinking, well, if we want to promote it, in essence, yeah, let's have a video of something and show the areas, the different trails and the different trailheads, and maybe work with Dave and the Conservation Commission to sort of create some additional signage, and direction to get people there. But the fact that he has,
I think that sounds, yeah.
the fact that he has all these trail maps already, is a great start, and I think it's just getting it out there.
Yeah, so I think that, how good, the trails are only as good as us sharing where they are, right? We don't want it to be some deep, dark, hidden secret that only the initiated know. We want everybody to know this is your town, and, this is one of the resources, one of the really valuable resources we've got, and we should be proud of it, because not every town has got, those types of natural resources available anymore. So, yeah, I think working with Robbie and Dave will be a good place to start, and I feel pretty positive that between those guys, we'll get a good foundational support to achieve what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, just really quick, I mean, you have the Bonnie Hill Trail Loop, you have Indian Crossway,
Yep.
you have the Poor Meadowbrook, and you probably know some of these, Laura, because I know that you're an avid walker. Smitty's Bog. So there's just, a lot of stuff, and I think Dave's done a pretty good job, and I'd like to really, get this out there and promote it to try and start something, try and build something. It's that double-edged sword where here's this here's this asset, and you want to get it out there because I think it'll promote business and revenue. Then there's always that scare factor of we don't want all of a sudden this crazy influx of people that come in and like litter and all that stuff. But I think there's
That's what happened to Burridge, during COVID. Like, it went from being kind of a little bit of a local secret, and even some people that lived in town didn't even know about it, to, in the middle of COVID, when people were feeling really pent up, all of a sudden we had people from, like, all over the southeast of Massachusetts coming there, and not everybody has good trailside manners. Some people litter, let their dog do whatever, wherever, so it is a double-edged sword, you're right. And I know Dave already struggles with some of the things that people do to the trails that he's spending like a huge amount of his time maintaining, and it's a little bit of it's a little disheartening. But it's like anything, you do it despite some of the people that abuse whatever it is you're doing. You do it anyway because the majority of people do the right thing. So, I think that sounds awesome. I think that's a good partnership, and I think Dave has just been amazing. Like, the work that he has, and it isn't just him, but he's gotten a lot of volunteers, but his vision and the work that he's been able to accomplish is just, it's amazing, and I don't even think everybody really realizes or recognizes, like, the dedication that this man has to the cause. So,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think it's a good starting point, and then maybe as things progress, the town can give support to him and his group, and we can also look at other funding sources for the trails, which I was gonna speak of in a little later.
okay, yeah, and I know you're talking about it later, but I will say, we actually, much to my surprise, it's always interesting, the things at town meeting that are controversial, and the things that you anticipate will be controversial and nobody has any issues with it. And so, Dave, when he submitted the articles for October, he needed some money for trail maintenance, and I said, Dave, I don't know, we're really tight, and I don't know what the appetite's going to be, and we'll try, and I'll support you, and the board supports you, but I mean, that just may not be the will of the people when they show up to vote. And literally nobody said anything about it. They were like, because I think people realize that what's the use of having these properties if you're not going to maintain them? It's a critical component. And for so many years, we had these properties and we weren't maintaining them, and nobody knew where they were. So I think those are the two criticisms, like, historically, that have been leveled at conservation. And I'm not saying that they're valid or not. I'm not opining one way or the other. But I think Dave has really, Dave and the rest of the Conservation Commission have taken that criticism to heart. And they're like, no, we're going to maintain it, and we're going to tell people where the trails are. But I think we can help them on both accounts, particularly if we decide that this is a goal of ours too.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay. Did anybody have anything else on that? Kevin, Chris?
Yeah, just a quick thing. Do any of the trails have, like one of those, like, dog poop cleanup stations or anything like that?
I don't.
No, they don't, because the problem we run into is who the heck's gonna do that.
Somebody would have to
Our
empty the
highway
trash, I
department
know,
is not
yeah.
in their union contract, and so because we don't have like a parks and fields department. And like even the trail work is being done by well-intentioned volunteers. I think it might be pushing it to say, and by the way, could you empty those little doggy barrels? Even I have my limits, and that would be one of them. So, no, we don't. And I will say, Kevin, it is a problem because some of those trails, people just, honestly, I can't even tell you how many times I've muttered to myself, this dog was not properly socialized. What dog would go in the middle of a trail? That's not like even a thing they should be doing. And, like at the very least, pull over for Pete's sake. So it is a problem. And you do hear from some people, particularly people that don't have dogs, that are like, oh my God, it's disgusting. Mostly about forage, I hear that a lot. Like that people are very discouraged with the amount of dog feces out there. So.
Yeah, Bonnie Hill gets horse feces.
Oh, yeah.
So
I mean, the only other alternative to trying to keep people in line is some sort of signage with what the fine is for littering or not picking up after your dog. But I know it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's kind of hard to enforce those types of things also.
No, but I mean, it's a fair point. Signage for those who tend to be compliant anyway might be helpful. And I've run into people who are like, what do you mean I can't have my dog off? It's like, okay, there's literally signs at every entrance, so don't even try to tell me that you got in here and you did not see any kind of a sign. So we run into that too. So I don't see why, I've seen it other, like in other towns, they'll have like little signs like, please pick up after your dog. I don't think it can hurt, right? It's not going to make it worse. So I don't have a problem with that. I think it's a good point, fair point.
Yeah.
Chris, did you have anything?
I couldn't really see the trail map just because I'm dialed in as well. Does it mark which ones have parking, Tony? 'Cause I know there's some trails in town that do and some that don't. If it doesn't, it would be great if we were able to denote that.
it does have. He does list like the trailhead, and so some of them are on the street, some do have small parking areas.
Okay, great.
So
I'm not sure that we have any that don't have parking. I'm trying to think, like, is there one in particular that you're thinking of, Chris?
I was thinking of like the town forest one, like across from Indian Head. I mean, I guess you could park at Indian Head, but I don't know, like notes
No,
like
I
that. There could be parking.
I parked right at Botieri Field in that parking lot.
Good
I go
luck.
in that one. Yeah, I go to that one all the time.
Okay.
So yeah, I just park, and then like Four Meadow Brook's got parking. Smitty's Bog's got parking. I mean, you'd have to hang on to your kidney and deliver when you go down there, but there is parking. So as far as I'm aware, I think almost all of it. It may not be what I would call prime parking. It could be a little challenging, but there is, as far as I'm aware, parking for almost everywhere.
Okay, good.
he does designate on his maps, Chris, a P for parking, and on some of these maps.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. Anything else on that, guys?
Are we putting this up on our like website or no?
Yeah, I'd like to put these up on our website, and get it out there as much as possible.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I really like the idea of getting it out on social media too. Because again, to your point, Tony, not everybody's going to go, curiously searching. Oh, let me look up the Economic Development Committee website for trails. That might not be intuitive. So I think if we could get, the select board office, or you guys, or everybody really, like, get, concerted effort of Lon with Kim, with, Lynn, or Emily to put it out on social media, I think that would be probably the right approach. And then maybe even see if we can do something, how we have the town newsletter and people sign up for updates that they can get, different departments make different updates. We might be able to send it out that way too. And then maybe even do like something, to Whitman Hanson Express. I'm sure Tracy would put something in for free. you know, if we just said, hey, guess what? You know, here's a link to trails and maps, and you can find it on the following pages. I mean, it could be that simple. And if you really wanted to take it like to the next level, you might put it on the electronic sign out front, but that's up to you.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Tony. That's awesome. And I think it's like one step closer to, you know, kind of what we were envisioning for trying to market the town. And if we can at least get that out there, then we can kind of get a package to wrap around it along with the other things we want to say.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. 2025 date opportunities for business summit and Camp Coney. I think I told you guys, or I'm not 100% sure if I did or not, but I will say the Hanson Business Network guys were wildly enthusiastic about a business summit. Very enthusiastic. Like, absolutely, I will go. That sounds amazing. That sounds great. So what were you thinking? Like, in my mind, I think, you know, like pretty much from now until like after MLK is really tricky to get people. Then, you know.
I reached out to Dory at Camp Kawani. So
Yeah.
Since how the committee tends to meet on a Wednesday, that's sort of like the days I picked. So they did have available January 15, 22nd, 29. They also had available February 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th. Now I know obviously February there's school vacation, so some of the members may be going on vacation. I reached out to Dory today to see if any of those dates were still available, because this was, you know, I got this a while ago. She hasn't responded yet, but those are the dates that she did have that were free and clear.
Okay.
So I didn't know if, you know, you figured maybe February.
Yeah, what was that, the January, what was it, 22nd or something like that?
Yeah, you had the 15th, the 22nd, or the 29th in January. And then in February, it would be the 5th, the 12th, the 19th, or the 26th. And those are all on Wednesdays.
I mean, what do you guys think? I think we need to stay away from like the week right around February vacation. And stay away from like Martin Luther King weekend, like, because people tend to take vacation. I'm thinking like January 29th or February 5th would be good, but do those dates work for you guys?
I'm fine with either one as long as we're not in February vacation. I don't even know when February vacation is, but I'm assuming it's the following week. So,
Yeah, my preference would be the 29th because I'm tentatively trying to get out of Dodge the first week in February, but we'll see how that will work. So the January 29th, I think, would be our preference. We're going to need to come up with a snow date / rain date anyway, just in case it's catastrophic weather, which I hope I didn't just call the universe on us now. But
How about January 29th as the date and then February 5th as the alternative?
yeah, does that work for you guys?
yeah, that sounds great.
For the moment, that works fine there.
All right, so let's go for that and see what Dory says.
Okay.
All right, that sounds cool. Thank you. And then farmers market, Kim kind of already told us about that. And then that brings us to Burridge Wildlife Trail advertising.
Yes, so you have information on that too.
Could we go back to the farmer's market for a second? So, the farmer's market, so one of the ones that we were discussing was the incredibly successful one in Pembroke. So I was able to connect with the two women who have basically created it and run it on their own. And I asked if they would be available at all to, you know, either Zoom or come to one of our meetings. And they said yes. So I know that we're really not gonna be able to do much probably this year, but maybe just being able to talk to them in the winter before their lives get busy with their job, we could get some ideas and talk to them.
Yeah, if the committee wants to pursue that.
I mean, how do people feel about the farmer's market? For me, I keep hearing over and over like recurring themes. It's a lot of moving parts, and people are unpredictable as far as the vendors and even the people that come and buy, and that you need to have somebody who's a volunteer to run it. And I'm just thinking, how would we do this? I mean, I guess we could open it up. Like I said, Green Hanson used to have one years ago, and I can circle back with Mary Ann Damasio, who used to sort of take a lead in that. And just, but my impression was it folded because it just got to be too much work for very little gain. Or I'll let you guys in on my mantra for 2025 is the juice worth the squeeze? And I don't think that the juice was worth the squeeze in the case of the farmer's market.
So we could, I mean, if the committee would like to, you could table that for now.
How do you guys, Kevin, what are your thoughts?
I'm okay tabling it for now, but I kind of feel like the farmers markets, it kind of turns into more than just a farmers market sometimes, because you have like different events that kind of piggyback off of farmers markets, like the sip and shops that I'm seeing pop up quite a bit now. Like those types of events kind of come after the farmers market, and food truck rodeos and things like that kind of, I don't know, it almost seems like they piggyback off of each other a bit. You know what I mean?
Okay, like there's some kind of synergy there with some.
Yeah, like sometimes, you know, you see a town with like, say like a food truck rodeo or a farmer's market, and then all of a sudden, now it's more of like the off season, the colder weather. I went to one in Hanover. I know Hanover is a different beast, but I went to one in Hanover the other day. It was kind of like one of those like sip and shop kind of things. It was a pretty neat event. You know, there was if you know of Ayla Brown from American Idol, she was singing at it, and they had you know how farmers markets go. All the little small businesses that bring their products there, and that might be the biggest sale of the year. You know.
Where did they? Is that the one that they opened up at the Old Spirit in Hanover?
That's right. Yeah, where Trader Joe's used to be before that. Yep.
That where the old Trader Joe's used to be? Is that where that was?
That's right. Yep. And it's I was there for the opening night, but I believe it's going on for I think it was at least a week. So maybe at least till this weekend, maybe even 2 weeks. I'm not really sure.
I thought somebody else had posted saying that it was going to be open every Saturday and Sunday through like till Christmas, like for people to shop. Like
Yeah, that might be right.
Like, isn't it called like South Shore or something? I don't know what it is.
There was a name to it. I'm not remembering right now, but
If I may.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, how about we do this? How about we set up a time for those ladies from Pembroke to come in and at least speak on it, and then you can get more information, and then from there, maybe you can make a better determination as to whether or not you want to move forward and pursue it or not.
I'm fine with that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I
The other
think
thing I would say is it would actually not be a bad thing to bring up at the business summit too. Like the businesses in town think that there's a demand for something like that. I know not every business that would. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, I did bring it up with the Hanson Business Network, and it was a very resounding no. But that was just those businesses. So, well, you know, that was just those businesses. It could be that if we have other businesses that go to the business summit, maybe they would feel differently. You know, like we tend not to have a lot of little mom and pop boutique like soap making type of businesses at the Hanson Business Network. So maybe we would get a different response if we had like kind of a cross-pollination of businesses. So I'd say why not bring it up?
Yeah, that's it. Let's keep it on the stove.
Okay. So
The thing
we're,
is if when we publicize the business summit, we should, well, however we get the word out, through social media and on the board in front of like in front of the town offices, just emphasize that it's for all businesses. It doesn't need to be just the President Titaniums of town, but, even the smaller businesses.
yeah, I
I
mean,
would say aspiring businesses.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody's thinking of having, whatever, wherever you're at on your journey.
yeah, we'll have Kim reach out to those ladies and have them come in. And then we can go from there, and yeah, the business summit, we can bring it up and discuss it. But we'll have them come in and at least give a presentation as to what they've encountered or what they feel, how it works, and then at least what you have a better insight is, and see if it's worth continuing the pursuit or saying, well, maybe not right now. The second thing I'm gonna just say here, Madam Chair, we have on this particular meeting right now about 1 minute and 49 seconds, so I don't know if you'd like to call a recess for about 3 minutes and we'll set up the second part of the meeting.
Okay. Yep, that sounds good. So I will entertain a motion for a recess.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, Mr. Ernst,
Yes.
Ms. Kemet, yes, Mr. Cohen.
Yes.
Okay, see you on the flip side.
Okay, thank you. So we're back from our recess, Madam Chair?
Okay, great. So we just wrapped up discussing the community farmers market. We're going to bring that up at the business summit, and we will see what the appetite is and what people's thoughts are. We'll also meet with the folks from Pembroke and pick their brains about the pros and cons, and take that all under advisement. So next up on the agenda is the Forage Wildlife Trail advertising with Mass Wildlife. Mr. Dupree.
So I had Kim actually reach out to the folks at Mass Wildlife, and she had a contact there. What was his name, Kim?
Jason Zimmer.
Jason Zimmer. We're also trying to get him to, he's willing to come to, right? He was willing to come to one of the meetings and speak with the committee, and trying to basically, in essence, let's say, create a partnership with them to get our trails into their world, so that it's out there. And also, I had a conversation with Peter Foreman of the South Shore Chamber of Commerce, and he was putting in a request for what's called an RFD grant, which has a sum of money for anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. And one of the things that he said it could be used for is branding, if you will, or it could also be used as the match funding for the Mass Trails grants, which municipalities can apply for. And the Mass Trails grants funds design, construction, and maintenance. Municipalities are eligible. You have like 1 to 2 years to complete it. The program over its lifetime, I guess, has spent $10 to $11 million, and it has funded 60 to 80 projects. You need a 20% cash match, or in-kind, or volunteer. It fills in gaps in existing trails. They kind of like trails that they're near senior centers or schools. You can bring in youth corps or technical trade students to help construct or assist in maintenance of it. Unfortunately, the only caveat, I attended a webinar on the 21st of November, that pesky little 3A compliance came up, and Amanda Lewis, who runs the Mass Trails Grant Program, just said to reach out to her, and she would speak to anyone that had questions about that. So I'm going to reach out to her to see if that becomes an issue or not. If it doesn't, then we can apply for that grant, which would help out, obviously Hanson and Dave in getting, some maintenance and upgrades to the trails.
Okay, that would be great. So, Kim, when you spoke to Jason Zimmerman, did you get a sense of like, yes, we would like to actively engage with you, or was he?
Yes, actually, he did seem eager and interested. He gave
Okay.
me 3 dates that he's available for, in the month of January to come to one of our meetings, if you would like him to. He is available the 8th, the 22nd, and the 29th, which I know you just discussed the 29th as
Yeah, the summit, the business summit.
summit.
So you can do the 8th or the 22nd.
Okay, look.
Or,
see
or,
what-
or we could invite him to the business summit on the 29th. He could speak there.
I don't really like to unveil anybody until we've vetted them and had a conversation.
Okay.
You just you don't know if people are going to go off script.
Yeah, yeah.
So, can you guys meet I think we need to meet before the business summit anyway, just to work out, what is, what's our agenda going to be, who's who in the zoo, what the logistics are going to be, like all of that type of stuff. So are you guys able to meet January 8th?
Yeah, sounds good.
Let me take a quick look.
Oh. And I'm sorry, normally we wouldn't do 2 meetings, but with the business summit,
What time would we meet?
we can be flexible. Did you have something going on?
It's my son's 10th birthday that day, so if we could do
Oh.
the earlier side.
All right, yeah.
It's fine,
We don't
something
want to
like
send
that.
him into therapy for the rest of the day. We'll definitely.
Well, I gotta keep peace at home,
Yes, I do know. So what time would work for you?
I mean, my whole day is free, so if we did it at like 5 or something, that would be fine. Just trying to
Okay,
wrap up.
all right. Well, yeah, we could do it like a 5 and just try to do an hour, quick call, like Tony and Kim, can try to work out some of the logistics for the, it's more of them telling us, like, here's how we see the business summit going and what we think it will go like, and then we'll just respond, and then we could have a brief update from this guy, Jason Zimmerman. Does that seem doable, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, Kevin, you said you could make it that day?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, January 8th.
All right. All right, well, that sounds amazing. Okay, so, well, that's good. I like the idea of that partnership for a variety of reasons. We are in each other's lives, whether we want to be or not, because they have a huge part of Hanson, and we've got property contiguous to them, and so I think, it would suit both of us to forge a very strong, supportive partnership. So that's awesome. Anything else on that, guys? On Tony or Kim on the RHP?
No, that's where, did you have anything, Kim?
I don't have anything to
No.
add.
So that's where we're at this point. I'm trying to work out in my head, it's basically a tourism campaign around the trails, as I've said before, for 2025 as a goal for EDC, along with the business summit. But basically using that tourism and trails as the seed, if you will, to try and plant something good and expand business and revenue or attract business.
Yeah, I'd love something like grab a bite and hit the trails, so people can go to either like Sparrows or, Restoration Coffee or Sandy's or Mike's, like all of which are along Main Street, Meadowbrook, Moe's, Kathy's Kitchen, those are all right along that Main Street corridor. So I don't know, like that, to me, that's the easiest business for us to promote and package with, with the trails. We could say work off your lunch, come and eat with us, work off your lunch, whatever. But do your thing, and we look forward to hearing back from you. So that brings us to town planner update. What say you, Tony?
Not much on the town planner update, other than, I guess, the one thing that really affects, let's say, business, if you will, is the fact of the new Cannabis Control Commission regulations, and how that affects the social equity policy that the state is requiring the communities, and how it affects the host agreements. So I think that's probably one of the biggest issues that affects business. And as I spoke last night at the select board meeting, we have if you put the policy in place, we're in compliance, and then it's a matter of going to town meeting to determine whether the town wants to issue any more licenses. But those regulations do have an impact. If there were other licenses to be issued, the social equity business would have to be the one that would have to get the license first. And until they were up and running, you could not issue any further licenses. So, for instance, if Hanson was to have the ability to, or wanted to issue 2 additional licenses for that type of business, the first one would go to a social equity, and if someone came in for that second one, they would have to wait until that first one was executed and up and running. So that's probably the biggest impact here at this point.
And Tony, I'm thinking, if Kevin and Chris want to kind of get up to speed on that, if they have any interest in it, you might want to send a link to the meeting in which we had the woman from Talaman come with you and talk to us about that, because
Yep.
there was a lot of information in that meeting.
Yep.
And again, if you guys don't have any interest, you could just delete Tony's email and you don't have to watch it. And then also, then any other information that you think would be helpful to bring people up to speed on that. But I also thought you might want to update everybody on the what do you call it? The boardwalk discussion we had.
Oh,
last
yes,
night.
thank you. That is one of them. So, as the committee's aware, we had received earmark of $170,000, which was to be used for 3 different projects in town. One is the Bonnie House, one is the boardwalk, and one is the High Street Park. So we did have a consultant, Verdantis, take a look at the boardwalk and its feasibility. And they did present various options, 3 different options. One was the creation of a long boardwalk behind what would be the former Ocean Spray building. You're looking at a boardwalk that's about 3,600 to 4,600 feet in length. But because of the environmental impacts and constraints of that, that's not really a viable option. The second was to sort of create or connect a trail. The Bay Circuit Trail gets close to Crooker Place, but there's a disconnect there. And so the second option was to sort of, the trail kind of crosses what is now owned by Hubble, and stating that, hey, the town should buy some of this land and then they could connect the trail, which, at town meeting, the town is get that ball rolling to look at purchasing a section of that. Matter of fact, that area where that trail is. And then the third option was to create a vista, if you will, at the old firehouse on Main Street, and that's all it would be, is a vista. Or you could try and connect to the Burbage, but nothing still more than a vista. And you would have to cross over and get permission from the abutter, because it's private property. So out of the 3 options, they felt that probably number 2 was the most viable option, that the town could, to the town. It's the least impact. It's probably, let's say, the most bang for your buck. So I presented that to the select board last night, and they voted to sort of move along with, say, option 2 as that's the avenue to go down. So we have to also look and see if, the earmark said, construction of a boardwalk to Main Street. So we just have to be sure, and I think we can make a case that that's not really, it's a great idea if we could do that, but unfortunately, because of the site constraints and the environmental constraints, it's not something in the cost, it's just not viable. So using those funds towards that, say, that option two. So that's what's happening with the boardwalk.
Now, Tony, I did have a question after the fact, which I know we had said boardwalk, and I just didn't know how literally Verdanta took that. Like, there are points in terms of connectivity with Main Street and Burridge, which you would not need a boardwalk. Like, it's, not wet, it's just regular trail. Like, they weren't contemplating literally a boardwalk the entire way, right?
I think probably in their minds to some degree, yeah, I think they probably were. It went now, and not necessarily like, the boardwalk you see in New Jersey type of deal, but, some type of trail, or maybe little bridges here and there, or, something that you would walk on. And it could be a series of planking or whatever. We didn't get into the specifics of what would you construct it out of. Is it wood? Is it, aluminum, whatever. But I think in their minds they were sort of thinking, yes, a portion or a good portion of this trail would probably be some type of boardwalk, given the location, in how wet it is basically along that stretch.
The reason I asked that is because I just want to, and you don't have to answer it because I know we've only got like 5 more minutes, but I just want to make sure that the connectivity, like the path that they were suggesting, was not born out of the fact that they were so wedded to it being a physical boardwalk rather than just creating connectivity, which could have just been like a trail. Like, can we just circle back and just double check on that? That, that they had that, their lens was looking at that too. Like, yes, I know we said boardwalk mostly because, like, the initial part from Main Street, because of how wet it is, would have to be a boardwalk. But I don't know if the remainder of it would all have to be boardwalk. And I have walked a lot of that. Like I said last night, I would never walk in that area during the spring anyway, for a variety of reasons, not just for how wet it is, but because you get eaten alive by mosquitoes and you get every mosquito-borne disease known to mankind. But
I looked up.
Ask that question?
Sure, I can. I mean, I looked up the definition of boardwalk just to see if it was, just Webster's Dictionary of boardwalk, to see if there is a question of, well, this earmark was supposed to be for this, and how we could explain the reasoning. And I to some degree I also thought, well, what if boardwalk meant, hey, we can sort of have signage or wayfinding along Main Street to then, let's say, down Crooker Place to that connection. Trying to think outside the box of ways to sort of make it work.
Well, the reason they use the word boardwalk is because that's what we use.
Yeah.
We told them that's what we wanted to do, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's sort of one of those, like, be careful what you ask for and how you ask for it. So
Yeah.
I think that's why they were so specific about being, anyway, all right. Did Kevin or Chris, did you guys have any questions on that?
No. I don't think so.
Appreciate the update though, Tony.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
cool. All right, we already set the, did you have anything else, Tony, or were you good on the update?
No, I'm good on the updates at this point.
Okay, awesome. First, I want to thank Kim for all of your due diligence and laboring, feverishly behind the scenes and following up on some of our ideas. Thank you. And as usual, Tony, thanks for organizing and keeping us on track. Thanks, you guys, with your busy schedules for making this happen. We set our next meeting for January 8th and January 22nd. So we're good on that. And then that leaves us with a motion to adjourn.
Just a correction, you said 22nd, that's the 29th, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks.
So January 8th and at 5 o'clock and January 29th.
January 29th. Yep.
Do we have a time for the summit?
I don't think we do, but in my mind, I think 5 would be a little bit too early for people. So I was thinking 6:30, something like that. But
Yeah, I would agree.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, so moved.
I'll second that. Yeah.
And,
Roll call. Oh,
no, go ahead, I'm sorry, Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Ernst? Yep, Mr.
Yes.
Ernst?
Yes, aye.
Mr. Cohen?
Aye.
And Ms. Kemmett tonight. Yes, Mr. DeFrey.
I just wanted to say to everyone, if I don't see you, have a good Christmas holiday, and
Thanks, you as well.
hope it's,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both for all you do
Right
for us.
back at you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
all right,
All right, thank you.
thank
Bye
you,
now.
bye-bye.